And is there anybody else in the house? What about your son? If I go look in his room, am I gonna see him?
Do you think you'd spot a psychopath right away? What would you be looking for? The anger, the threats, the obvious danger. No! But what if the real threat is the person who doesn't set off any alarms at all? I'm Dr. Patrick Kingsep, a clinical psychologist, and today we're delving into Todd Alquist from Breaking Bad and El Camino. He's the most quietly terrifying character ever put on screen, a unique kind of psychopath, and I want to connect what we see in Todd with what we know about psychopaths in real life. Psychopaths are often superficially charming, acting as chameleons who change their personality to suit their target. Lies are a way of life for them. They lack genuine empathy or conscience, meaning that they don't have that little voice inside that stops most of us from acting on harmful impulses, unless, of course, they are concerned they're going to be caught. Many psychopaths show sadism, which is taking enjoyment from harming others, and have elements of narcissism and a high sense of self-importance.
Take back the complaint.
I told you, it's done.
No, it isn't. It doesn't even smell in here. Take back the complaint. I made you a sandwich.
They constantly seek admiration from other people and react with rage and revenge to any criticism. This is where Todd stands apart.
Yes.
There's a nanny cam in the living room clock. I disabled it. I just thought you should know.
What's your name?
Todd, sir.
Because he doesn't look or act like the stereotype, and he doesn't openly show traits like sadism or narcissism in the way that many psychopaths do. If you picture a psychopath in your mind, you might think of someone like Ted Bundy, who murdered dozens of women across the 1970s. Bundy's power came from persuasion, his charm, his ability to win people's trust, and then use that trust to destroy them.
Have you ever physically harmed anyone?
Ever physically harmed anyone? No. No.
That's the version of psychopathy we all expect. Manipulation, smooth and convincing. Now, Todd doesn't fit this mold. He doesn't charm anyone. He doesn't persuade or manipulate. In fact, he's so bland, you'd barely notice him. Now, sadism is often seen in psychopathy, the idea that someone not only harms others, but actually enjoys it, drawing excitement or power from another person's pain. Many notorious psychopaths have shown this. They smile at cruelty, take pride in dominance, or just savor the fear they cause. But we don't see signs of this from Todd. He doesn't show any enjoyment in cruelty or suffering, and he doesn't seem to look for power through pain. For a lot of psychopaths, there's at least some visible thrill in causing harm, a spark of dominance, or an appetite for watching others suffer. Todd just seems to have stripped harming others down to just pure function. He embodies what's known as affective shallowness, an emotional flatness where empathy and remorse, they're just missing.
Gotta make sure you don't draw too much attention. I'm gonna do a better job of keeping you clean from now on.
That emptiness is what makes him so chilling. He may even demonstrate alexithymia, the difficulty some people have in identifying their own feelings. You may have noticed that there's this blankness on his face. So when someone can't recognize their own feelings, they move through life detached, unable to experience or regulate what's going on inside them. With Todd, that shows up as being unreadable, even when he's carrying out evil acts. Now, I've sat with forensic patients in the past who described their violent acts with the same flat face and tone, like they were talking about what they ate for breakfast or tasks they have to do in their day. They don't express any guilt, no inner struggle with what they've done, just a list of actions. Todd's true nature becomes so clear in season 5's Dead Freight. Remember the train heist? What followed was one of the coldest scenes in the whole show. Now, what's so disturbing is that he doesn't seem to enjoy what he did, but he doesn't feel anything about it either.
The kid was on a dirt bike. I mean, he could have just gunned it and been gone before we even had a chance to blink. We never would have been able to catch him. I was thinking on my feet. I saw a threat and I took care of it the only way that I could.
No remorse, no hesitation, just a weird, empty kind of acceptance. He just did what had to be done, and then went back to being his usual, polite self. Now, this sends chills as it's clear proof of Todd's callousness. Todd says,
You gotta believe that. You know, at the end of the day, it was him or us, and I chose us. And I would do it again.
he can't understand why his actions would be questioned. This behavior is a form of ruthless practicality and an inability to understand the moral implications of what he's just done.
The whole point of this thing was that no one was supposed to know that we were there, right? And people weren't ever supposed to know that anything got robbed. How could we have let the kid go? And he made us. If I hadn't done what I did, the whole mission would have failed.
He sees the boy as a threat that needed to be handled and to achieve the group's goal, rather than a human life that was being extinguished.
The kid was waving at us. He wasn't going anywhere. He was saying hi.
Hey, but you don't know that.
I do. He didn't know what he'd seen.
Well, I didn't want to take that chance.
Now, we later learn that he keeps the boy's pet tarantula spider as what looks like a trophy, a souvenir of an innocent life taken. For many psychopaths, keeping a trophy means reliving the thrill of dominance or enjoying the memory of their cruelty. For Todd, though, it seems less about savoring the kill and more about simply wanting the tarantula itself, almost like he was drawn to it like the same way a child would be. Not out of pride from the killing, but a strange, childlike attachment to the creature. In El Camino, Todd strangles his housekeeper, Sonia, simply because she discovered his hidden money.
Okay, please don't, make me feel worse than I already do.
Who is this?
Sonia, the cleaning lady.
This shows how Todd reduces people to obstacles. Once Sonia knew too much, she stopped being a person in his mind and became a problem to eliminate. Instead of moving the cash, he applies a cold logic eerily similar to the train heist murder of the boy. We see images of Todd singing on the highway with the housekeeper's corpse in the trunk. The contrast between his cheerful singing and the grim reality of murder shows how his emotional world is just flat. It's compartmentalized and disconnected from the human meaning of his actions. After they've disposed of his housekeeper's body, he returns to his unit and offers Jesse a bowl of soup. Once again, Todd is mechanically following learned etiquette, offering food because that's what people do. He does the gesture without feeling, showing how he can mimic social steps. Todd eventually becomes Jesse Pinkman's captor at his Uncle Jack's Nazi compound, holding him prisoner. And watching the relationship between Todd and Jesse just sheds more light on Todd's psychopathy. He often shows what could be seen as a form of kindness, offering Jesse cigarettes and rewarding him with ice cream for his work. On the surface, this looks like care. But if you look closer, it's what's called behavioral conditioning.
But we gotta talk ground rules. If you try to, escape, I'm gonna have to visit the little boy. It'll basically be out of my hands.
He uses reward to control Jesse's behavior the way someone might train an animal.
Everything good?
Yeah. Good.
Great.
Jesse is valuable only as a means to keep the meth business profitable. With Jesse chained and the picture of Brock pinned on a post as a psychological weapon, Todd exploits fear and despair to maintain control. His eventual decision to have Andrea murdered with Jesse forced to watch shows his complete detachment.
Just so you know, this isn't personal.
He's not driven by sadistic pleasure, but by a cold, practical logic that just, it ignores Jesse's humanity. In his mind, Jesse becomes an object reduced to function and utility. stripped of personal worth or moral consideration. It's also interesting to watch when Jesse eventually found a gun, but he couldn't kill Todd out of fear. This moment shows how Todd's calm emptiness becomes more paralyzing than any loud threats.
Jesse, I'll take that. On the way home, I was gonna get us some pizza, a couple large pies, maybe a 6-pack of beer.
Jesse has faced violent, sadistic enemies before and fought back. But Todd's lack of emotion creates a different kind of terror. There is no signal of rage or bargaining, nothing Jesse can predict or reason with. That unpredictability stops Jesse from pulling the trigger, leaving him frozen. Now, if we look at Todd's behavior alongside Jesse Pinkman, we can see some clear differences in how they act. Jesse, though deeply flawed and involved in serious crimes, has a moral compass. He feels guilt, he shows remorse, he cries when confronted with suffering, and actively resists actions that cross his ethical boundaries, such as involving children in the drug trade.
That dude, whack job.
Let's just stick to the facts here.
How about the fact that he shot a kid that he didn't need to shoot?
The boy had seen us.
Todd is completely unmoved by killing or witnessing suffering.
Todd, that opie dead-eyed piece of shit, pulls out a gun and shoots the kid like it was nothing.
On the surface, they may look similar, both killers, but the internal psychological reality could not be more different. This difference also sets up an important question about where Todd's detachment comes from. We're not told much about Todd's childhood. There are hints of a possible history of harsh or inconsistent care. Now, kids who grow up in homes where approval is unpredictable often learn to survive by copying whoever has the most power in the room. In Todd's case, instead of developing his own inner sense of right and wrong, he mirrors and attaches himself to the strongest figure around him, whether it's Walt, Jack, or Lydia.
Todd, I don't need you to be Antoine Lavoisier. What I do need is your full effort and attention. Listen and apply yourself. If you do that, we just might have a fighting chance here.
He doesn't just admire them, he needs them. This shows a fragile or underdeveloped sense of self.
You did fine, Todd. You applied yourself. That's as much as I can ask.
This dependence is tied to traits of dependent and antisocial pathology. He mirrors the power around him, and he just delivers without hesitation.
No one, other than us, can ever know that this robbery went down. You got it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You sure?
His obedience is not rooted in loyalty or belief, but in the absence of personal ambition and the inability to have his own values. Now, this kind of psychopathy links closely to what Hannah Arendt, a political theorist, calls the banality of evil.
Evil committed by men without motive, without convictions, without wicked hearts or demonic wills, by human beings who refuse to be persons. And it is this phenomenon that I have called the banality of evil.
Now, Todd shows this perfectly. He carries out horrific deeds with a calm, detached manner and no real moral compass. For him, violence and murder become just another job to do, routine tasks without deeper meaning.
But did I make a mistake, Mr. White? Because to me, respectfully, I was looking out for the team. I didn't want to kill him. You got to believe that.
He can move from killing to casual conversation without any conflict inside himself. Now, this idea of routine evil helps set up why his behavior with Lydia is so unsettling, because it shows how he mixes politeness and even romance with brutality. His obsession with Lydia is very revealing. He copies her small habits, like drinking from the same side of her mug or ordering the same tea, and even makes a snow globe with her figure placed on a pedestal.
It's that Lydia woman. You sweet on her, you little bastard.
Hey, Ken, you believe this? Hey, it's all about this right here, huh?
He frames it as a romantic gesture, the way a schoolboy might think he's protecting his girlfriend from bullies.
I could ask my uncle to smooth things over with him, if you want.
I'll pass.
He completely misreads the social reality, but to him it feels like a form of love.
About the product, I'm really sorry about the color. For a minute or two, it just got a few degrees too hot in the mixing kettle. I think I might have just cooked the color right out of it.
You burned it, like a cake.
And in compartmentalization, that is, the ability to keep violence in one mental box and politeness in another, and you can see how he can murder one moment and then act like a respectful student the next.
We're not doing business with him. Todd, please, don't make me walk you through this.
His craving for approval turns this into a cycle. He kills not to gain power, but to prove he's useful.
I mean, I'm doing everything just like Mr. White taught me, so it's bound to get better, right?
It's not loyalty in the usual sense. It's survival by attaching himself completely to whoever is in charge.
I put a lot of faith in your abilities, Todd. I believe in you. Please do make the cook better. It's very important to me.
History has shown us many different types of psychopaths, and many have some traits similar to Todd. Jeffrey Dahmer spoke in interviews about his killing with a calm, childlike tone, as if he were describing everyday chores.
As my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls.
Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, described his murders with that same flat detachment, treating violence like a routine job.
Since there is no love in my life, I must have something to replace it, so I replace it with hate. Constant hate. Constant reminder to hate.
And Charles Manson showed how a fragile identity and a desperate need for belonging could be twisted into manipulation that drove others to kill in his name.
And you sent your friends back in to do the deed. Aren't you a coward?
My friends back in to do the terrible deed.
Doesn't that
the
make
wicked
you...
deed. Did we have the castle there with the vampires and the Frankenstein?
Together, these examples show us that psychopathy is on a spectrum, and we start to see where Todd fits into that spectrum. At one end, you have the classic flamboyant types, the charming manipulators, the thrill seekers, the sadists who take pride in causing pain. At the other end, you have the quieter, more covert types. These psychopaths don't draw attention to themselves. They often blend in by copying social cues and routines, showing politeness or helpfulness on the surface, while keeping their lack of empathy and moral void hidden. This makes them harder to spot and even more dangerous because they don't show the usual warning signs people expect. Todd Alquist is honestly, I think, one of the most chilling portrayals of a psychopath I've ever seen on TV. His calm exterior, hiding an empty interior, makes him genuinely terrifying. He isn't the strongest or the smartest, but he is chilling because his actions are detached and they're just unpredictable, not driven by rage or even a desire for power. He could be described as a narcissistic nihilist, someone who cares for nothing and believes in nothing. He personifies the banality of evil, reminding us that cruelty can hide behind the most ordinary faces. He doesn't understand why what he does is wrong, only that certain actions achieve results. That makes him not just a fascinating character study, but a disturbing reminder that inhumanity can exist in plain sight. So is Todd the most frightening kind of psychopath because of his obedience and emptiness? Or do you see him differently? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.